Someone told me that pornography in the United States is it's like the Puritans compared to porn elsewhere in the world. When they tracked down Osama bin Laden, they did so by tracing his porn feed from the internet to his home. If you're into objectified sex, then there's really no limit to how base that can become. And if you're working the model of good and evil in the world, no matter where you are on the spectrum, it's probably not going to end well. And when you overlap the two, politically, socially, and culturally, it usually means that somebody is going to get screwed. Welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. Last week we had guest Patrick Sheehan from the Gays Against Groomers group, and he explained that there's a civil war going on in the gay community between the traditional gay community who want to continue assimilating and the trans queer group who want to destroy the concept of what is called cisgender, the idea that we have a biological sex and a heteronormative basis for society. Ironically, in hearing this conversation, I was getting the idea that negating the normative part of biology essentially castrates the identity of gay people. Apparently, you can't have objectified sex if there's no objective reality. I checked in with Annie Gramone on this, and she shared previously with us the idea of the Carolyn Elliott book, Existential Kink. And it's the idea that many of us are disconnected from ourselves. And in the process, it could be very dehumanizing. And ironically, we can make that into a fetish of sorts. On conservative hour, we've struggled with the term conservative. We've talked about, what is it we're trying to conserve, but the word itself, conservative, in my understanding or recollection or interpretation from literature and the use of the word, conservative kind of conveys a reticence. And the word liberal uh, in usage might convey the idea of a willingness or an openness. When these are applied socially and culturally, the terms seem to work in similar ways that the words middle class or Christian or hard worker. They're used to convey the idea of being okay and accepted. They're euphemisms for what's really going on. They're actually just masking our true selves. In church this Sunday, they said it's so much easier to deny ourselves than it is to actually help people, and that we're all probably minor narcissists. But which is worse, trying not to help others or to pretend that we're helping others? It's it probably has more to do with us than true reality. Christ didn't need to die on the cross from God's perspective. He needed to die from our perspective. In India, they have the concept of the holy cow. And in the West, we take cows and grind them up and make them into hamburgers. In reality, it's all the same cow. I was intrigued at the recent CPAC, the Conservative Action Planning Committee meeting, that there was consternation in liberal media that President Bolsonaro attended, and that somehow he now has become a sub person. I wasn't really sure when people became disgraced and declared disgraced just because they supposedly lost an election. We're in a very weird place. We're fighting a battle between our own selves, our shadow selves, with our denying selves and our our do-gooder selves and our penitent selves and our through good works selves. We see the world as the glass half empty, and we see the world as the glass half full. We get married for better and for worse, and we accept the idea that we live in good times and bad times. It's all a manifestation of the same thing. And oddly, we seem to be doubling down on the living in the bad times part right now. In Ayn Rand's classic 1957 novel, Atlas Shrugged, she paints a picture um, of a world gone completely berserk when the world abandons all objective reality and rational thought. Atlas Shrugged isn't a very sexy novel, but it includes a lot of sex, especially near the end when people engage in sex as an act of desperation and complete depravity. Atlas Shrugged is considered a controversial work because its proposition is that rational thought and the concept of individual are above all else. I don't I don't have a problem with that. And to Ayn Rand, the concept of God seemed irrational. So she really didn't believe in God, but oddly, in reading many of her works, one never gets the sense that God does not exist. During this time of Lent, as we navigate these stormy times, let's remember we're on a spectrum. We're on a spectrum of good and bad. And from our perspective, things might be looking pretty bad. But we have to hold on to the irrational thought that the best is yet to come. If you would like to join us at Conservative Coffee Hour is every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. I'll include my email in the description of this video so I may do so. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.